All right, and I want to talk to you a little bit about point of view. Okay, in the DBQ point lineup, point of view is important because it's one of the ways that you get core points. There's a typo there, I see, right there. So in doing this, it's important that you understand what point of view is in writing a DBQ and that you become good at it so you can get some of one of these core points. In order for you to get these points, you have to analyze 3 documents. And you can do more than 3, but 3 is the minimum. And it's a good practice, I would say it's a good practice just to analyze documents and give a point of view in each one of them. Why not? I mean, some of your point of views may be better than others, and you may get the point, and then you may not. But if you do more than 3, then you can kind of feel confident that you probably are going to get that point. So that's good. So what is point of view? Okay, so as a writer, as a historian, you're looking through primary sources. You're looking through sources, and you're reviewing these sources to understand what the sources are and why, and this is big, why whoever wrote the source or whoever the source is about either said what they said or wrote what they wrote, okay? Therefore, you're analyzing what about the source made them say or write what they did in the document. So you need to be able to measure some kind of credibility, legitimacy, reliability that adds to the importance of the source. A lot of students, as they're writing their DBQs, they're just reciting facts, which that's okay too, but you want to go a little bit deeper, a little bit richer in your writing and be the historian that evaluates whether or not the document is likely to seem accurate or incomplete in the context of this document being written by, who it's written by, and when it's written, and that person's perspective, or their bias, and what their goals are for writing. So when you are looking for POV, when you're looking at documents, you can look at just how things are written, what's exaggerated, what it says about that person, what if it shows the source's point of view or of what their interest is. Those are the different types of things that you're looking for when you're analyzing these documents. And sometimes it's even difficult to explain because we have so many sources that we're looking at. It's kind of hard to put ourselves in the driver's seat of the person who's writing that document or who that document is about. But these are some examples of people, of the types of sources that we're looking at. Sources that are written by religious figures or some kind of extreme individual. Sometimes the uneducated, the poor, sometimes the rich, the very rich. Okay? So obviously, if you think about it like this, if you have, I don't know what kind of school y'all go to, but if you have a school where you have a great diverse set of people, okay, and you have some very wealthy students and some very poor students, some students from different cultures, some students from different ethnic backgrounds, and you ask them all the same question, right? Like, how was your first day of school? You very most likely will get different types of answers because you are asking very different types of people. And so that is what you're analyzing. You may analyze that, that one student says that the lunches were very, very bad, and just wouldn't eat them. All right. I wouldn't eat that lunch because it just looked gross or whatever. Well, that may be coming from a student that's very wealthy, right? And doesn't have to worry about where his lunch is going to come from or her lunch is going to come from. Whereas another student, a poorer student, okay, may talk about how wonderful the lunch is and, how maybe because they were crazy hungry, okay, because they didn't have breakfast and might not get dinner. Okay, so hopefully you see where I'm kind of going with this. The curiosity by that logic doesn't mean that there are no wrong answers. That's a great question, Jen. Oh, that's a really good question. What I would say to that is, if I guess you misinterpret, right, the source. If you are unfamiliar with the history of the source, if it is written by a religious figure, and you can, by doing that, you can infer many different points of view that have to do with religion. If you miss that, okay, and you look at that person as being a political figure, which a religious person can be a political figure. All this is very subjective. But if you just miss those key points, right, then, somebody, whoever's reviewing your essay, whatever reader from the College Board is reviewing your essay, may not give you the point. But you may have another reader who says, oh, yeah, okay. They kind of get it. Does that kind of answer your question? I think more so than just what is just the interpretation or the perspective of the person. I think it's important that you kind of craft that point of view around the historical context, which is the reason why I'm giving you lots of time to read your book, because it's a big, thick, heavy book, and you need that time. So how do you show POV or bias in perspective? Well, there's 4 methods, okay? Attribution is one, and it's the simplest. This is through the citation of documents that documents the author. Students show the document is a particular person's opinion. Okay, the farmer thinks this way because his crops didn't make for the season, whatnot. So this kind of, you have to, attribution is important because you're pretty much you're attributing, okay, whatever this POV is to that person. The authorial point of view, you can explain this, how this perspective of an author, his gender, his occupation, class, religion, nationality, all that's written there, influences the views, okay, because he was the priest, because he was the papal priest, he knew this religious law, okay, or he knew this religious doctrine, right? Says here also, I like this, a person's POV can also give the reader clues as to the goal for the writing. Where's my laser pointer? Right here. This right here, a person's POV can also often give a reader clues to their goals for the writing, which can help an historian what motivated the writer. Okay, here's an example. Batista is an Italian humanist educator. It's natural for him to believe that each part of the Renaissance education are activities that are proper to mankind. Okay, if he's a humanist, if he's an educator, an Italian, he is going to think of that. And that's why I say, Jen, and anybody else who's listening to the recording, that's why it's so important to get the history right. Okay, to know that history, to be able to back it up with historical, right? Don't gloss over the reading. Really, I mean, come on, guys, you're in AP European history. You took this class because you wanted to, I hope. Okay, and this could be really cool stuff for you, all right? Enjoy this reading. I think the book's a really good read. It's kind of an easy. Another way to show point of view, bias, perspective is through reliability and accuracy of source. Um, you need to be able to explain why this source is truthful and accurate or not. Okay. Uh, you need to be able to explain the likelihood of an honest observation depending on the type of document. Here's an example right here. Francisco, because he's an Italian statesman and historian, statesmen and historians typically tell the truth, and these are his reflections written to show what he thinks rather than to change in some kind of education system. Okay? Yes. Also, the tone or the intent of the author. Some writers will use satire, sarcasm, irony, political commentary, humor, other examples of tone simply to make their point. And you should make note of this if you get this in a document. And here's the example here. The word absurd is being used to describe the educational system. And through this word, he's emphasizing his frustration, irritation with the Renaissance schools. And so through this, it's likely that his frustration has caused him to exaggerate, okay, the extent of these problems in Renaissance education. So what kind of sentences, how do we start off when we're talking about point of view? And these are things that you can actually write. One should approach this document with caution. Okay, if you feel like, there's some bias here in this document, you could write that. And because the source, consider the source. Okay, you can, and I see the second one a lot right here. The point of view expressed in this document, oh gosh. I mean, sometimes I think students write this because, I want to show that I'm doing point of view, so I will write the point of view, which is fine. I mean, you can do that, but don't let that be your only way to show point of view. The source of this document possesses a unique point of view. Okay, well, that's a little bit different. One should take into account the point of view of this source because, okay, so be creative with your writing. Don't just say, okay, now I'm about to write point of view. Here, that's the point of view, okay? We want you to be crafting a very good essay. And so here is what your point of view or your DBQ essay should include. You're going to have a thesis statement. We did an exercise on that, and a lot of you really, you get thesis statements. I mean, a lot of you are doing really well on that. You know what a thesis statement is. Your majority of documents, you have to correctly interpret a majority of the documents, and that's where your history is going to come in, okay? Group and categorize your documents at least 3 different ways that relate to the question. And then you can use more than one document in your grouping. And then point of view. Okay, that's just another skill that's going to help you demonstrate that you are able to recognize the bias or point of view represented in the document. Okay, that's a great question, Jen. Yes. Okay, so you are going to answer a prompt. I'm going to give you something. And based on what you see in the document, you'll get a prompt and some accompanying documents, okay? And that's what you're going to do. You're going to craft an essay in a certain way with certain information that allows you to answer the prompt and provide a good argument and then show evidence as to why your argument is true. And the evidence is going to come from the documents that are provided for you. But one of the things I want you to know like I said in the beginning, uh, you're learning how to do these DBQs. The AP Euro way. Okay, I know a lot of you said, well, I had world history, AP World, and you've taken other AP courses. The truth of the matter is I don't really know how they work their DBQs. I know how AP Comparative Government does it. We don't do DBQs in that, but we're just going to talk about if you are planning to take the AP Euro exam next May, then that's what we're going to learn in this class. Okay, and we're going to start off learning it. And there's lots of time to read and look at things, and the different activities that I have you doing, whether it be maps or some kind of worksheet, the art projects. We're looking at a lot of European art. These are things to help build your knowledge of the history that we are studying. And then in addition to all of that, we're going to be learning how to create and craft a DBQ. But it's a learning process, and I want to emphasize that. My job here is not to slam you up against the wall and say, you're not an expert at this. No kidding. You're in school. You're learning. Okay? That is my last slide, and that's all I have today. Just want to emphasize that we do have an assignment due date, and it is tomorrow. I'm going to post an announcement for that tomorrow, listing the assignments that are due. Please reach out to me if you need any help or you're not sure what you're supposed to be doing. Certainly reach out to me. But Jen, if you don't have any other questions for me, I would just say that this is over and you're free to go. You have a great night. Thanks for coming, Jen. I really do appreciate it.